Vidhammer Fantasy.
Welcome back to Vidhammer. I'm Spudlow, and in this video I'm bringing you the second round matchup from the tournament at Darkside Comics in Sarasota that I played at a couple of weeks ago. This is the second round of the tournament. The first round is here, and I'll actually give you a third round video that I'm not playing in, but it involves the ogres and dark elves, I believe, and we'll put that one up here once it gets finished. In this round I go up against the vampire counts. I haven't played very much since the new vampire book came out, which was last year, but I've only played against the vampire counts in the new book one time, I believe, until this day. And again, these were my first games back, and it shows. Still, hope you enjoyed it, and check back for more videos. Here it comes.
This is a Blood and Glory scenario where one of our core units gets to make a vanguard move after all the setup is done. I win the roll for board edge and decide to take the side closer to the house because it's further from that obstruction in the middle. Those three monoliths which we are playing as dangerous terrain. In spell generation, he has 2 level 2s and a level 1 that end up with Curse of Years, and 2 of them get the Invocation of Nehek, the signature spell. There are a couple of other spells, but I don't know what they are and they don't play into the game. For my side, I've got the Plague Priest that gets Vermintide and Pestilent Breath. The Warlock Engineer takes his signature spell, Warp Lightning, since he's got the Condenser. And the Grey Seer ends up with Howling Warp Gale, Blessed with Filth, Cloud of Corruption, and Plague, and I decided to ditch Cloud of Corruption for Dead of the 13th, since in my experience, that spell hurts me more than my enemy. We roll again to see who deploys first. I'm not sure if this is what you're supposed to do, but hey, I'm going with it. I'll be back in the game. And I win, so I decide to go first to try to get the first turn roll. I start with the slaves and the cannons again to try to buy myself some time. He puts down a unit of 50 skeletons with spear and shields, and after that he follows with 24 ghouls. I go for my clan rat bunker next to the house, figuring I can get some cover from any firing which he doesn't have, or flee into the house if I need to run into it for cover. He goes for some dire wolves, and it looks like things are going towards the top, so I go ahead and put my plague unit up there. He follows with some hex wraiths, and pretty soon there's some more wolves that are going to come down as I put my storm vermin and my rat ogres up at the top. And that's ends up being a very bad decision because I crowd myself way too much, and I don't allow the rat ogres the ability to actually get into combat, which stinks since they're a lot of points. He's got a big block of undead cavalry that go toward the bottom, which had most of his breakpoints in it. So at this point, the only thing I can throw at it is the Doom Wheel, but I figure he's got too much to destroy it, so I say screw it, I'm going to go for battle points and just try not to get broken. In that regard, I go ahead and throw my Grey Seer in with the Storm Vermin instead of the bunker, since I might have to sacrifice that unit. For his characters, he's got 1 in the cavalry unit, 1 in with the skeletons, and 1 on the Terrorgeist. The corpse card is a stand-in for the Mortis engine. For other start of game elements, I end up with 2 Warpstone tokens, and the Storm Vermin drink the Skaven Brew and get Hatred. The fungus that the Storm Vermin are in is actually a fungus forest, so when we take our Vanguard moves, I go ahead and move them out of that forest. I don't have to start the game being stupid. Hexwraiths and the Direwolves have Vanguard already, and he takes his additional Vanguard with the Skeletons. I win the first turn roll, and for movement I go ahead and have the Plague unit charge the Direwolves as my only charge, and I end up making the distance. The Doom Wheel shoots for the skeletons, but doesn't quite get there, and some of the other units just set up for oncoming charges. some reason, whenever I play Rat Ogres, I never get them into the combat they need to be in. Magic ends up 6 versus 6. I use the first 2 for Warp Lightning on the Hex Wraiths, and it gets dispelled with 2 dice. Then I go for 2 for Howling Warp Gale, but it gets dispelled with 4. With 2 uncontested dice left, I go for Bless with Filth on the Plague Monks, hoping that will carry into the next round and things will be good. In shooting, the Doom Wheel restrains from shooting into the Plague Monks, which was the closest unit. The first Poison Wind Mortar shoots for the Wraiths, but drifts and doesn't wound. The second one gets a direct hit that grazes the Wraith, but only takes out 2 skeletons. First cannon misfires and explodes. Awesome! Second one shoots for the dragon, but it comes up short. And finally cap off my Doom Rocket and get the perfect ability for it to do absolutely nothing but a very expensive firework. In combat, the Plague Furnace kills off 4 wolves in impact hits and finishes off the last one with the fog effect, and I overrun into the flank of the skeletons, losing 3 guys to dangerous terrain. On to his turn. For movements, he charges the ghouls into the plague unit. The dire wolves charge the cannon. Mortis Engine gives a regen in a 7-inch range, hitting the skeletons, hex wraiths, and dragon. Chargers make the distances. Cavalry moves up. And after some debate about positioning and whatnot, the hex wraiths run through the mosh pit and target the slaves, taking out 3 of them along the way. We've had some debate about the space that was necessary because the unit has to move entirely through it. There's not enough space on the other side, then they can't take the move. This game really made me realize I need to go back and study things. Probably look at the battle reports that I made last year before going back into battle again. Other moves, the Mortis Engine and the Dragon move up to the Plague Monk's flank and get ready for next turn. Magic ends up 8 versus 6. He uses 4 for Curse of Years on the Clan Rat Bunker, and I let that one go. It causes 4 wounds, but it's the Clan Rat Bunker. It's not that big of a deal. He uses 2 to try to regain wounds, which I go ahead and dispel. And he could try the same spell again with another caster, but when he checked the range, he would have needed double 6s to get it, and he didn't want to deal with the miscast, so he forgoes using his last 2 dice. In shooting, there are shrieks from the Mortis Engine, Terrorgeist, and Strigoi Rider that he fires into the Plague Monk combat, which I wasn't sure if you could actually do that, but okay, I'm just going with it. Kills off 7 Plague Monks, but I was out of the running anyway, so I'm not going to press the issue, that's for certain. But I will look that one up. In combat, the cannon crew kills off 1 dog while they soil themselves. The Plague Furnace gets a flank charge on the skeletons, and I use the Plague Banner, hoping to get a lot of extra kills in combat resolution. The Furnace runs over a skeleton on its way in, and the Plague Priest summarily puts the skeleton champion to death in a duel. I only end up losing 4 Plague Monks in the attacks, and I managed to kill off 7 ghouls and 11 skeletons in the total, thanks to the Plague Banner and some fog effects at the beginning. I guess they're trying to impress Steven Spielberg or something. I win the combat by enough to kill off another 11 ghouls and skeletons in the crumbling effect. So it's good and looking good for me. At the start of the second turn, they told us we had 30 minutes left to play. I don't know how that happened, but okay. I think about charging the rear of the ghouls with my storm vermin, then realize if he manages to kill off my general and my BSB, who are both in that unit, I lose. So I charge the slaves in, and after some thought I decide to have the Doom Wheel go after the Hex Wraiths, thinking I can zap them with Warp Lightning in combat, but I should have just left them alone. That was a silly decision. They only do a few wounds, so I shouldn't have worried about it. The Rat Ogres passed their standardized testing and managed to make it out of the forest. I have the Storm Vermin unit back up, run away, thinking that the dragon could come in and win the game if he's lucky. And I run the bunker away as well. Magic is 8 versus 5. I use 3 for Vermintide, which gets dispelled with 3 dice. Then 4 for Howling Warp Gale, and that gets dispelled with a scroll. I eat 2 Warpstone tokens, giving me 5 dice, and I go for Blessed with Filth on the Plague Monks again, and he fails to dispel. I did not, however, dispel Curse of Years. Major oversight. In shooting, both the Poison Wind Mortars drift off and hit nothing, and the Doom Wheel misfires, and does no bad effects, but great job, guys. In combat, the Doom Wheel takes a wound, but he loses the combat because of the charge and the flank. So I end up taking out a Wraith in combat resolution. In the big combat, Fog Effect kills off 1 ghoul and a skeleton. The Plague Priest gets 2 skeletons. The Warlock Engineer doesn't get any wounds. The slaves get a wound and give the Warlock a snide look in the process. Ghouls kill off 1 Plague Monk. The monks get 4 ghouls and 2 skeletons. And the skeletons kill off a slave. Then it's time for the awesome Wrecker attack, and it misfires and kills off a Plague Monk. That's lovely. It would have been great, but hey, it's the one time to use it in the game. Didn't work. I win by 12, though, and the last of the ghouls die off to crumbling. Moving over to the Vampire Count's turn. The Mortis Engine kills off 2 Plague Monks with the Aura effect. Then in movement, the Mortis Engine and the Terrorgeist charge the Plague unit. The Dire Wolves charge the Poison Wind Mortar, which flees. And then the Cavalry charge the Bunker, which also flees. This is the end of the game. I'm just getting the points out of the way. Magic ends up 10 versus 7. He uses 3 dice to try to regain skeletons, which I use 3 dice to dispel. Then he used 5 dice for Curse of Years on the slaves, and I dispel it with a scroll. Then 2 dice to try to regain skeletons again, but the spell fails. Shooting, he screams into the Plague Monks for 13 wounds. In combat, I lose 2 Plague Monks to impact hits. Then we do a late Fog Effect, but it doesn't kill anything off. I issue a challenge with my Plague Priest, who dies to the Ghoul King, but it stops the wounds coming from the dragon, since those, to my knowledge, have to go into the challenge. After the smoke clears of our epic round 2 here, I lose the combat. The Plague Furnace is unbreakable, but the slaves explode. I take the skeleton unit down to just the standard bearer, but the unit's still alive. I end up killing off the ghouls and a single unit of direwolves in exchange for both of my cannons and the Plague Monks, which is my most expensive infantry unit. Not a fair trade, and that's why I end up with a loss in this game by enough to earn me a bye in the final round. Go me. The final totals for the tournament, I think I actually tied for last, which is just awesome. So let that be a lesson to you. Play some practice games before you go to a tournament when you haven't played in a very long time. But still, it was fun. I got to see a couple of new players and some new armies, and I enjoyed being back at the table. So it was all a win for me. Hope you enjoyed this video. Be sure and check back for more videos each week. Do me a favor and subscribe. Like the video if you want to see more. And as always, send me a comment if you have any tactics or matchups you'd like to see. Until next time, keep fighting.
Bonus video? Simple. Go ahead. Click on it.